This is a rant. It frustrates me that 95% of the fandom, 100% of the time, only focuses on Olicity. Like, there's more characters, there's more storylines, there's other stuff going on. It's frustrating because the creators made it very clear early on in the series that Olicity was going to happen, just not now. And now that it's kind of happening, sort of, in the teaser, it's just, that's all everybody ever wants to talk about. And what just happened in this last week's episode, this last episode, episode 318, nobody's talking about it, and people are only focusing on what they saw in the teaser and what they've seen in these teasers. And I know it's a bit delayed since it's been now 2 weeks since this episode and there's been other stuff revealed, but it's still kind of frustrating that whenever I go on Tumblr and search in the arrow tag, it's almost 75% Olicity, even though huge things have just happened that aren't Olicity based. There'll be like 2 seconds of Olicity in an episode, and that's all there is on Tumblr about it. It's baffling. And what's happening right now is so big. It's monumental. It's huge. Roy is in prison. He sacrificed himself for Oliver. The fans only care about that 2-second teaser of Olicity hooking up. It's so frustrating. They weren't even talking about like anything. I applaud Tumblr and this entire fandom on their creativity of what you can do with very little. For one, they took that 2 seconds of them hooking up and just to the moon. It's amazing of the thing. I'm amazed. The things that I've seen. Like, I almost feel like now that the writers have thrown in Olicity just to alleviate or just to ease the fans now, because it's like that's all the fans ever want anymore is Olicity and Oliver and Felicity hooking up, and I feel like they just threw it in there just to give the fans what they wanted, even if it wasn't time. But I know I've seen Oliver do extremely crazy things and his character develop in very short amount of time, so I mean, I'll see where he is when that actually happens, but it just seems like now isn't the right time for them to actually hook up and have a relationship. And don't get me wrong, like, I ship Olicity to the moon and back again, and I want to see them together, and I would rather have it at a time that's right for both of them and right with this story, and like that have it all flow together nicely, other than just kind of throwing it in there and letting other things slide. Like a couple weeks ago when Oliver was fighting the Atom and Roy got electrocuted, and then that was it. Like, that was the rest of it. Nobody knows what happened to Roy, and like even the writer addressed that. Like, they're like, yeah, we messed up. That was bad on our part. And it was almost as if they kind of rushed it to get Oliver back to the Foundry so he could talk to Felicity. And it was like, oh, so you just threw in Olicity there. Like, yeah, it was important that he talked to Felicity and wrap up things with Ray, but also your son just died. At least they addressed it. So at least the fans cared about that. I am a little biased towards Roy, actually, in case you haven't noticed. I'm a little biased towards Roy just because he's my favorite character. And I love Roy Harper in the comics and in anything else that Roy Harper has been in. And I love him so much because canonically, and I know that the show doesn't follow the comics to the T, and I don't expect it to. I mean, I love the creative turn that it's taking and all like the little Easter eggs it has, but I love Roy Harper so much because in the comics, his father isn't there. His father is abusive, and he doesn't teach him how to show compassion or even how to like grow up and how to be a man or whatever. And his father is out of the picture, essentially. And the only person that Roy Harper ever looks up to in the comics is Oliver Queen. And now Oliver is really the only father figure to Roy Harper in the series. Even earlier this season, like, Diggle was like, oh, you need to let him loose, like, you need to let him loose now. It's not safe to have him around anymore. But then Oliver was like, no, I'm gonna hold on to him tighter. That's not gonna happen. Watch me. You see these, like, emotional father-son bonding moments happen every now and then, but it feels like we don't get them enough. Like this past episode when Roy didn't come back to the Foundry right away, and Oliver was like, "Where's Roy?" And it was like he was almost like, "Where's my son? Like, where is he?" Like you see that father-son relationship between them. And I wish they would delve into it more in the series. Like, a little bit less Olicity and a little bit more Roy Oliver. Like, you know, like, obviously it's not a romantic relationship. It's a father-son thing that I'm wanting because, or that, you know, that we need, because it's like suddenly out of nowhere, you know, you get this, like, that they formed this relationship, but we don't know when it happened. Like, we're just left to assume that, oh, it happened when they were fighting. Well, duh, they fight all the time. But we don't see that they've bonded emotionally. We don't see when it happened. And I don't know. I wish that we would have seen more of those moments, that when they bonded emotionally. And for Roy, it's so big to have this father figure in the picture because his father isn't in the picture. And when Roy sacrificed himself for Oliver this last episode, and in the trailer when Oliver says, okay, we're gonna get him back, we're gonna rig Roy out, it shows the real love that they have for each other, like a real father and son. And I wish I like that in the show. I like that father-son bonding, and I wish that they would show it more on screen. Like, we're just left to assume what happens with them. And it's frustrating because all the writers seem to care about right now is Olicity. But I guess really recently the trailer for, like, the Fight Club released, and I think that's kind of what everybody's talking about right now, and Felicity isn't in that one. So, yeah. And I love Felicity, I really do. I love her, and I think she's hilarious, and I love her as a character. I ship them so hard and so far, and I want to see them together. I just want them together at the right time. And right now, with everything that's going on, it's not the right time. These past few episodes, it's not the right time. But I mean, like I said, Oliver's been known to have these breakthroughs all the time. So in these character development, like, arcs all in one episode, we'll see where he is when they actually do hook up. From this show, I really want more of the father-son between Roy and Oliver, because we're just left to assume so much has happened between them, and we never got to see it. We never got to see them actually bonding. Like, there was the moment in 307 Guilty when Roy thought that he was the one that killed Sarah, and at the end when Oliver was teaching Roy the focus thing, that was really cool, and they had this bonding moment, and I don't even remember what episode it was, but yeah, Oliver was really mad that Felicity had gone out with Ray, and then, like, he was, like, destroying stuff, and then, like, 2 seconds later, Roy came out of nowhere and was like, what's wrong? And, like, you see, like, these little moments, and these are the things I catch on, and I'm like, oh, he's, like, concerned about his dad, and oh, he's concerned about his son, and I want to see more of this growth and, like, more of the relationship, and I wish it was something the writers worked more on, because Roy is my favorite character in the series, and I am biased because, and I will admit it, because Roy Harper is one of my favorite comic characters, outside of my Bat Family mess, and I want to see them both grow, like, together, and I want to see that. I definitely wanted to post this for 319 because I will have a 319 reaction episode, because I know somebody dies in that episode. Guggenheim said so. So, worried. Bye.